So today we're just going to have a nice general informal chat today about suppressed emotions. And because with me today I've got Jenny Kennedy and I'm Justine Laidlaw, and we just want to talk a wee bit about what we have done to heal and how suppressed emotions have been an integral role in as far as releasing those emotions for our own healing. So Jenny, would you like to just perhaps start this informal chat as to how releasing suppressed emotions has helped you with your healing journey?
Yeah, thanks, Justine. It's great to be with you today and just chatting about this because releasing suppressed emotions was an integral part of my healing. In fact, it was probably the main component to my healing because I knew I'd experienced a lot of stress and trauma or events in our life can create suppressed emotions because it can happen when we don't get an opportunity, as you know, to express how we feel. But it doesn't necessarily have to be a big event. So, for example, you could have say a little girl, a toddler, and she sees her bottle up on the bench. And you know what they're like, they're going, can I have my bottle? And mum's busy up the other end of the house. And what she does, because, you know, hunger is that basic need when we're little and we can't communicate. So she might fall down on the floor and go into that place of helplessness and despair. Whereas she could have, you know, gone and got a chair and grabbed it over and climbed up and got her bottle and, you know, solved her problem. But it could play out in her life when she gets a problem in her life and she doesn't know the immediate answer to that problem. She falls back into that place of helplessness and despair. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a huge trauma, you know, to have a suppressed emotion. It's just can happen when we were little and we didn't have the ability to speak. I don't know. How did you find it in your experience from healing? Was it a big factor to your healing and releasing those suppressed emotions?
Without a doubt it was. But when I reflect back on this journey, because at the start, you know, I was very much on the physical. But as I gradually unraveled it, I really did realize how much of this emotion I had suppressed. And I guess as children, we're not really taught how to release it. And even when I looked back, I didn't really feel like I had any major traumas, but there was lots and lots of little moments that I obviously didn't know how to deal with as a child. And then also as a teenager, you know, I think as we navigate through life, we've got so many things that affect us, and it's just something that we're not actually taught. You know, I can recall, you know, if I was being naughty or if I wouldn't eat my dinner, you know, often it would be, well, go to your room and close the door. Well, to me, that's actually suppressing those emotions even further because it's not giving me an opportunity to release them. So I think it comes in so many different levels. And I think what we're trying to allow people to recognize is that the suppressed emotions can actually start to form a physical problem in the body, or more like a blockage, you know, where we're not recognizing that we've got, you know, suppressed grief or suppressed pain or suppressed fears. You know, it's not just necessarily trauma, there's so many other what I'd call low vibration emotions. Would you think that would be also?
Absolutely. And, you know, the science to back that up, particularly, you know, what I've researched, the work of Dr. Candice Pert. She's a cellular biologist that wrote a book called Molecules of Emotion. And what she uncovered is, it's like this is your cell, and these are your cell receptors, and every time we have a suppressed emotion, so the emotion goes into the cell and the cell receptor closes around it. So that can, over time, that can continue to happen, and then there is the propensity for dis-ease to develop. But what happens when we get a suppressed emotion is unconsciously, so we're not conscious of it, we create a belief about ourselves. So getting back to that story with that little girl, she didn't know that she was unconsciously creating a belief for herself that when I see a challenge, I'm just going to, you know, I feel helpless and go into that place of despair. So it's by getting to those underlying beliefs, when we uncover what the belief is behind when we're getting a trigger in life, that we can, it's like a domino effect. So when we change that belief, then it releases all those times in our past where we've faced that same situation with those emotions. So it's so important, for healing anything, not just cancer or physical health, for emotional, growing your business or whatever is going on, to look at those suppressed emotions, underlying beliefs that have been created, and shift and change them. And I know for me, when I went through, or when I asked to be led to the root cause, what created the cancer in my life, the two main underlying beliefs were that I wasn't good enough and it must have been my fault. And they just, from that unconscious beliefs played out in my life.
Yeah. It really is incredible, isn't it? Because we're not really taught this stuff at all. And as we navigate through our adult life, by the time we've actually reached the point where we've been, given a diagnosis of some sort, doesn't necessarily mean cancer, but it can be any disease, it's really a cumulation of all this emotion built up that we haven't been able to release, and it's stored in the body. So, over my journey, part of releasing suppressed emotions for me was also learning about my beliefs and my behaviors, and also about my boundaries. That was a huge one as well, but being able to express how I was feeling. So I had a lot of trapped anger, and it was, for me, the release quite often would be about having a really good scream, like being able to just yell it out and get it out of the body, or physically throw something. It doesn't necessarily have to be psychotherapy or, some sort of working with a practitioner, even though that really helps us to navigate that more deeply. There's a lot of things that people can learn themselves to do and enable themselves to release, isn't there?
Absolutely. It's just to move that emotion through your body. That's where the gem comes from, so that we're not storing it. And that's writing. We can, just journal our thoughts and allow everything to come out onto the page. And that's a way of, cathartically releasing what we're holding on to. There's many ways to releasing suppressed emotions, but it's like, what we are unaware of is that 90% of our programming is actually held in the subconscious. So the trick is to start and become aware of it, where those beliefs are. And it's not like we have to go looking for them. It's life will bring them to you every time you get that trigger, because if you've got any suppressed anger, and that was a big one for me, but I never got angry. And that was a problem.
Yeah.
I didn't actually realize I was angry, but I stuffed it down, and then I was nice.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting too? Because I know, reading with Dr. Kelly Turner's research of cancer survivors, is she talked a lot about the suppressed emotions actually having a detrimental effect on the mitochondria of the cell. And so releasing the emotion helps the energy or the chi flow in the body so that the cell repair can happen as well. But one of the other things that she talked about, which I found fascinating, is that even positive emotions, or what we felt were positive emotions like nostalgia, can also have a detrimental effect, which I find fascinating.
It is, because it's not what you would have thought, would you?
Not at all, because so a lot of people are, I guess it's about almost living in the past, like they're holding on to joy that they used to have, and now that is gone. That is also another, problem that is holding on onto that vibration in the body, which I think is fascinating.
Yes, that's the thing, because if you're living in the past with that emotion of what has been, then there's obviously something missing in the present moment, that you can't feel that joy in that present moment. So, yeah, that was fascinating to learn from Dr. Kelly's research.
Yeah. But for myself personally, you know, through the cancer healing journey, I actually reached out to a practitioner that was a emotional freedom technique practitioner. And I found, I'd never heard of it at this stage, but I found that a fascinating process. And it's, you know, it comes back down to helping those cells wake up and release that emotion. And for me, the experience of going through, and I'll relate it to a relationship that I had where it became a wee bit of an abusive relationship. So part of that was still stuck in me. And when I worked with this emotional freedom technique practitioner, every time we started to tap on my body, physically tap on my body, I would just get these waves of emotion coming out. And it's quite astounding, really, when you kind of think, well, man, that's all stuck in my body. What a wonderful way to express it. What are some of the ways that you have found? Have you worked with a practitioner to release emotion, or has a lot of this been your own work?
Oh, no, I've definitely worked with practitioners to release the emotion, and different practitioners have their different ways of doing it. I've done a little bit of EFT and found it very, very powerful. I've worked with the journey, and I'm a journey practitioner myself, so that's a really wonderful way of releasing suppressed emotions. I've worked with kinesiology. I think, you know, it's an individual thing to align with what feels right for you. But what I have noticed is it doesn't necessarily have to be what you perceive to be a really powerful release that actually has a profound effect. So sometimes I've gone and seen a practitioner, I thought, oh, that, you know, that was good, that was okay. But then the following days I've gone, as it's integrated, I've realized, oh, wow, that is really, really powerful. So one of the things is to have no judgment in the moment, what's going on, and to know that the soul actually knows when and what order to release things. And, you know, that's what we both do in our work, is helping people connect with their intuition to what feels right. And, you know, if someone's drawn to EFT, then that's what they need to follow, because that's their soul speaking to them. But to let go of the expectation of what it's going to be like and how it's going to unfold, and just trust in the process. That's what you have to do with all emotional healing.
Absolutely, because some people that are still very much stuck on a physical level, if you suggest that they go to a practitioner, you know, this, as you say, there's so many different modalities. EFT's been one for me. The other one was called Body Talk. And quite often when I would go to Body Talk, I'd sort of walk away sometimes feeling like, don't feel like that did much. But just like you say, it could be 2 days later or 3 days later, I'd get this deep aha moment. And sometimes I would well with emotion, other times not, but it gave me a new awareness of perhaps some of my beliefs and behaviors also. So, you know, it's quite fascinating how it evolves. And, you know, we don't always get this profound release, you know, as perhaps what we might expect.
And just because we don't doesn't mean to say deep healing has taken place.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Just to be aware of it.
Yeah, totally. And so through, you know, the work that we are both doing individually and together with our Healing Within workshops, we collaborated a little while ago, and we said, we need to start doing some monthly group conversations and bring in different people to talk about these different areas in life and how we can start working from the inside out. And part of that is because, and I don't know about for you, but I know for me, that at the moment we're starting to see big changes happening around us in terms of, like, even the medical system is starting to become overexhausted, overwhelmed, and it's actually starting to make each of us connect back in with the healing that needs to happen from within, and taking a little bit more control of our own health and not relying on external sources to really help us. So, you know, I think for both of us, we're trying to be part of this, of educating people that there is so much more we can do to take control and, you know, start to do the self-healing work, which we've been, I guess, taught not to do in many ways. We've been taught to look outside of us. Is that how you feel?
Oh, yes, it is. You know, just go and get that piece cut out, take that pill, you know, whatever it is. And, you know, we definitely need the medical system at times, but to know that we can just do so much for ourselves to heal. The body, as you mentioned before, it has its own capacity to heal itself, but we just have to tap into that part that can activate it. And you know, it's these group conversations that we're having every month, and we're really excited to bring an EFT practitioner. She's a master practitioner, Sharon Parker, next month. Well, it's actually this month for the next one on Tuesday the 24th of October at 7 p.m. So if any of you listening would love to join us, it's $29 and it's online, so you can do it from wherever you are. But it's a very powerful technique that Sharon will explain to you, and it will be an experiential workshop, so you will actually get healing. And then we will be together in a really safe container that we can chat, you can ask questions, Justine will be there and I will both be there to support you. So we're really excited, aren't we, Justine, about hosting Sharon for our next group conversations for inner wellness.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's one of these things that, you know, we've all got these layers to gradually work through. And so even for myself, you know, when I listen to other practitioners speak, I always even still continue to get my own aha moments. So it's always a work in progress, but that's what we're here to do, is to try and help support everyone and to have these nice conversations. So I'm really looking forward to it too. We'll see you then.
And we'll pop the link down below for anyone that wants to join us. So yeah, love to have you join us if you feel called to.
Okay, thanks, Jenny. See ya.
Bye.